Mm.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast, the special episode on Grind Time, where we break down this $150 starter draft over here at the FFWC. With me tonight is Jody Smith, Mr. Full-Time himself. We had a great time at the Expo this weekend. What's going on, Jody?
Still recovering from that. I actually got a good night's sleep last night for the first time in a week, so that was off to a great start.
That's right. We don't sleep much. We do a lot of partying, a lot of hanging out, meeting we're seeing a lot of people, meeting some new faces.
I managed to get some content done, surprisingly. I didn't last year, but I made sure to sneak some in this time.
Listen, I was doing the Sirius XM auction draft, and I look over, and you were there for like 2 hours at that table, just working, putting out content, putting out work. Good for you. I'm proud of you. I don't know if I could do it, but that's why you're the man. But hey, everybody, put in tonight. Get in the chat for tonight's show. Tonight we're going to go over this draft, this $150 starter draft, and we're going to talk about some of our sleepers, breakouts, and busts. Get in the chat and post your favorite tight end two. Your favorite tight end two in the chat here for a chance to win a free starter or Superflex Bowl entry on full time, on grind time. Compliments of them, compliments of the FFWC. So let's jump into here because I am in the FFWC World Championship 9 p.m. draft tonight. Pick 7. I'm excited for that. That's gonna be fun. So we got to get in and out of here. That's right. Exciting chance to win 150 grand. So we will do that. But we'll start with team 1 tonight, Jody. Thoughts? This is a 0 RB build. I have a feeling you're not a huge fan of the 0 RB builds, but we'll see here. Starts with CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, and Deontay Johnson with the first 5 picks. Any thoughts on any of those guys specifically?
I mean, I get the premise of 0 RB build. I mean, I would rather do a hero RB if I were going to go that route, and this team kind of is indicative of that because you have nothing but we'll look down at the running backs. I thought it was a little early for Brandon Ayuk. CeeDee Lamb at 1, obviously it's good. I'm a big Jalen Waddle fan, so that felt right. And T. Higgins and Deontay was a little bit ahead of his ADP, but still, when you're talking about him as a wide receiver 5, I mean you have to really like that. And a spot after that, you got a good tight end and Christian Watson, but Tajay Spears, we were talking about at best a 50-50 split with Tony Pollard. Devin Singletary was superb at RB 36. I have him more than 10 spots higher than that, so that was a great snag. And then Chuba Hubbard, very underrated last year, and I think he's going to get off to a pretty good start. But you have to wonder, when is he going to cede carries to Jonathan Brooks? Probably starting in October. That at that point, this team could be in some trouble filling out running backs. But I mean, all in all, I like the wide receivers with the exception of Ayuk, who I have about 6, maybe 5 spots lower than that. But all in all, I like the build.
Yeah, it's hard at the turn. Sometimes you got to reach for the guys that you want. This was gold medal con. Maybe it's convict content. I don't know if it gets cut off there, but I like this. I'm okay with a 0 RB start. I would prefer, like you said, a hero RB start. I love their 5th receiver. Deontay Johnson is actually my comeback player of the year. And again, we got the article coming out. At least mine will be coming out the end of this week.
Your preseason pro, yeah,
my preseason pro over at FullTime Fantasy. So you guys got to check that out. But Deontay Johnson's my comeback player of the year. I explained a lot of so check that out in there why, but I think he's gonna have a really good year. And you can actually usually get him cheaper than wide receiver 28 too. His ADP is more in like the 6th round than it is at the 501. So some reaches here on ADP, but again, go get your guys. I should say that this is a confined league. This is not a tournament. So all the money stays within this league, and you don't have to kind of build some super juggernaut team. But again, I like a lot of the picks here. I like Singletary and Spears as kind of running backs in a 0 RB build, like you said. But yeah, we'll see how this ends up working out for gold medal. Pick 2, Mr. Poop here goes with kind of an interesting rainbow build here. Yellow. You don't see that often at the FFWC, the yellow, green, blue, red build here. Starts with Tyreek Hill, comes back with Kyron Williams, Sam Laporta in the 3rd, Hurts in the 4th, gets his or her tight end 1 and a top 3 QB. What are your thoughts on this build here, Jody?
Don't care for this team that much. Wide receivers are going to be problematic for this team. I mean, if you're starting 3 wide receivers, that means every week this guy's going to be reaching for Mike Williams and Brandon Cooks and you know, Gabe Davis, who I'm having to scroll down to see that's a big problem. I like Kyron Williams as RB10 because I'm not necessarily buying into Blake Corum. I don't know. Actually, I like Blake Corum. I don't know the involvement, what the split is going to be. So I still prefer Kyron Williams in that RB6 to 8 range. So to get him at RB10, it's not bad. But, you know, it's great to get your tight end early if you like it. I never like my tight end early builds. I personally have Kelsey as my tight end 1. But what you see here is when you go tight end, you're obviously bypassing the more elite wide receivers. And then to make matters worse, when you take quarterback in round 4, which I think is a little early, but every draft, Adam, as you know, is different. You can go in a league where someone's taking a quarterback in round 2 and it kind of hits that panic button. And you can go in like we do, a lot of experts and analyst leagues where it's almost like a taboo to be the first person to take a quarterback. So we can take our quarterbacks in round 9 or 10. So obviously every league is different. So I think this team's gonna he's got some decent running back targets here in the mid rounds with Ramondre Stevenson and Tony Pollard, Jerome Ford. Those are all nice upside pass catching backs. But all in all, I think the lack of receiver depth here is going to be a problem for this team.
Yeah, Scott Lawrence brings up a good point about the first team too. Only 1 flex in these starter leagues, so you don't necessarily. The thing about the FFWC is it's 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 2 flex, so you can start 5 receivers. So people usually try to load up those receivers. So why 6 receivers? That's a good question and a good point for team 1. Team 2, again, little sneak peek behind the curtain. I have Kyron as my bust this year. RB10 isn't terrible. And will Kyron be RB10 in points per game? Absolutely. But Kyron Williams is a 195-pound running back that missed 5 games last year and 7 games the year before. Kyron Williams is not a workhorse back. If they work him to death, he's going to last the same. He's going to last 9-10 games. So give me Blake Corum for those 6 games that you can get 8 rounds later, and maybe those 6 games at the end of the year during your big playoff week. So I agree with you. I don't like Laporte as the tight end 1. Usually in the FFWC too, like whenever I take an early tight end or an early quarterback, I always regret it. I look back and go, man, I could have waited, 4 rounds, 3.5 rounds and got Mark Andrews, or I could have waited 5 rounds and gotten Kyler Murray, stuff like that.
And as you can see, that's doubly tough when you do both. You take an early tight end and an early quarterback. You see the lack of depth.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, Gabe Davis is going to be tough rotation there for their their wide receiver 3 there. Moving on to Sun 150. The first running back off the board, and Christian McCaffrey, team 3 here. Chris Olave, Michael Pittman, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Lamar Jackson, kind of to start their draft off here. Don't hate the build, and I actually like some of these players here too, Jody.
Yeah, I mean the first 3. It's a little early for me for Michael Pittman. I have questions about the volume. So for me, Pittman is about 8 or 10 spots lower than that in my personal ranking. It's not egregious, by any ways. I would have liked, if you're going to go Pittman, if you could somehow have got Anthony Richardson. Obviously, in that build, this didn't happen because he went a little earlier than expected. Ken Walker, RB18, kind of stands out to me. I have him, I think, RB15 or 16. So although it's just a couple of spots, I still think he's being underranked. Even in my own projections, he's probably a little underrated. Josh Jacobs, again, I think we're all kind of curious of the usage there because you're going to a team, Green Bay, head coach loves spreading carries out with multiple backs, but with their rookie being a little banged up right now, is Jacobs going to start the season off in a workhorse role? I'm kind of curious to see that myself.
Yeah,
and then Hollywood Brown, at the time this was drafted, was probably a decent pick at wide receiver 38, but now it looks like he might be missing a game or 2, so that pretty big hurting on the receivers here at this point.
Yeah, that'll be interesting with him missing 4 to 6 weeks there. Again, Smith and Jigba can hold on the fort, but yeah, we'll see there. I like some of the pick. I like Jacobs at RB17. I think he'll be okay there. Christian McCaffrey, obviously, as long as he stays healthy. Pittman, I completely agree with you with the volume concern. So don't necessarily hate this team. Comes back later on, a couple defenses, a kicker, or no kicker. Sorry, Herbert Cole Kmet. So we'll see about that, but nothing egregious here. Just this is the only thing is maybe taking a receiver a little bit earlier rather than Lamar, or rather than Kenneth Walker, probably in that range. I would have taken my my third receiver there. But all right, moving on to Team 4 here. Sorry, we're moving fast through these because I got to be out of here a little bit before 9 because I am in this Fantasy Football World Championship draft tonight at 9 o'clock. I've picked 7. I'm excited for that. Excited to snipe these guys all night long. Always smooth. Pick 4, Jamar Chase, a little higher than we're used to seeing him going. Jamar Chase has a nice hold-in working over there in Cincinnati, followed up by Travis Etienne, Deebo Samuel, Joe Mixon, George Pickens, James Conner. I just got really like deja vu or like blast from the past there. I was about to say Joe Mixon, another Bengal, wrong. Then I was about to say Carl Pickens, another Bengal, wrong. For those of you who are my age, Carl Pickens for the Cincinnati Bengals in the 90s. So blast.
He's good too.
He was very good. Listen, no one cares about the story, but the first draft I ever watched as a Buffalo Bills fan in the early 90s, I wanted the Buffalo Bills to select Carl Pickens, receiver for the Bills, and they ended up selecting left tackle John Fina, and I'll never forgive them for that. But anyways, all right, always smooth. What do you think of the beginning of the draft here, Jody?
Absolutely love this team. On first view, this is the team that stood out to me. I was like, this always smooth. Not surprised. Sharp guy. I've talked to him many times on Discord and in DMs and all that. Great fan of the show. He must be using my personal rankings of the full-time fantasy rankings here. I have no issues at all with Jamar Chase as wide receiver 3 in the 4 hole. Something I've done regularly myself. Travis Etienne, right on the money. Deebo Samuel, to me, has snuck up a few spots with this uncertainty of Brandon Ayuk. Love Joe Mixon. He's my personal RB10 now, so you got him at a nice discount at 16. George Pickens, another guy I've got around wide receiver 23, and you're getting him at wide receiver 30. James Conner, again, 5 spots lower than I have him ranked. He's my RB 18. You got him at 23. Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy I had ranked a little lower, but I've come around to him. He's had an outstanding training camp. George Kittle, again, tight end 9. Absolutely love it. To me, he's my tight end 5. So, and then Jaden Daniels took a swing on a massive upside quarterback. Love the build, always smooth. Not surprisingly, I'm not surprised that he came through with an outstanding team, but so far this is by far my favorite team.
Yeah, no, good team, good points, pick for pick here. This is a bet on an Ayuk trade, right? This is because if Ayuk gets traded, you're a projections guy. Deebo is a high second round pick, and Kittle is a top 3 to tight end. So I think that this is definitely a bet on a trade for sure. But no, I definitely like this team. Hawkinson for later on in the season if something happens to Kittle, and then just kind of pounding receiver late in the draft. Leggett, Chark, Coleman for the Bills. Coleman kind of fell in this draft too, but very nice from Always Smooth. Resistance is futile. Pick 5. I'm on Ross St. Brown, followed up by Derrick Henry, DK Metcalf, James Cook, Tank Dell, Chris Godwin, Raheem Mostert, Kyler Murray, Dallas Goedert. So fills out that starting lineup with Goddard and Murray in the 8th and 9th. I really like that. And I like the picks kind of throughout here, the build, the picks. Not a big James Cook guy, but other than that, I love the rest of it.
I love this team a lot too. I'm on around St. Brown, and this sounds weird. He's my favorite first round pick because he's a guy that when you're at this middle area between 5 and 7, he's the guy that I really want. I keep missing out on him. And he's kind of in a lot of drafts, you're seeing him go as wide receiver 3 or 4. He's been ahead of Justin Jefferson for a comfortable portion of the offseason. And naturally, with the news today of J.J. McCarthy, you can see that that's going to be, continuing moving forward. Derrick Henry, right on the money. DK Metcalf, that feels right on the money. James Cook, I keep wavering back and forth. You remember how good he was down the stretch with the new offensive coordinator last year. But then you worry about the rookie coming in and take usage away from him. Tank Dell, right where he should go. I had him around the wide receiver 30 to 32 range. So boom, right in the middle. Chris Godwin, one of my favorite sleepers to target this year. Yes. I fully expect that Godwin is going to be a top 30 wideout. He's moving full-time back into the slot where he was so good in the past with the Bucs. And that's good news for his fantasy purposes. So I love Chris Godwin. Raheem Mostert, probably a little early, but we have yet to determine how Miami's going to distribute carries. I like Jalen Wright later too. Kyler Murray, got your top 10 quarterback. You wait on tight end, you still get a decent one in Dallas Goedert. And Josh Palmer going down a little lower. Josh Palmer, J.K. Dobbins, Brock Bowers, all upside picks, very, very good draft targets that late in the draft. So all in all, this is, I view this team as a pretty serious contender. And I would be extremely happy to have that roster as well.
Yeah, tight end 13 for Bowers. That's really nice. My knock against Cook, man, is he was third in the league last year in rushing yards, I think, and still only finishes like RB, I think 12.
Yeah, the biggest thing on Cooks is that you're lucky if you get 6 touchdowns out of him.
Right, he's got what 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns in his career through 2 seasons. He dropped 4 touchdowns last year.
Now you bring in a Ray Davis who,
that's
potentially there to usurp even more goal line work. But it is what it is. With Cook, you're paying for the usage, and you want that reason. You want that usage that he did down the stretch to kind of carry over.
Yep, and that consistency too. So nice squad there. I love Amon-Ra. Although out of the 5 or 6 hole, I might have leaned running back, but I love Amon-Ra a lot. All right, moving on to Team Medlin. But before we do that, again, guys, put in the chat tight end 2. Your tight end 2, not the overall tight end 2, but like a tight end 13 through 24.
Yeah, a tight end 2.
That's right, a tight end 2, because I think someone put Dalton Kincaid. Always Smooth, who we love their team, put Dalton Kincaid in here. Although Dalton Kincaid, hey, nice, I guess nice stranger things have happened, him being the tight end 2 on his own team. So maybe Arthur Smith is the coach there now. But yeah, and you have a chance to win a free starter or free super flexible entry on us, guys. So throw that in there. All right, moving on to Team Medlin. Bijan Robinson, nice little pick there. Our first hero running back build here. Bijan, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Rashee Rice, Mark Andrews, Jonathan Brooks, Brown, and Eckler. I love a good hero RB build. And I like a lot of these players. Here's my thing about Bijan Robinson, man. I keep kind of taking the easy way out. Say, oh, it's a coin flip. I'm a high stakes, high volume drafter. One time I'll be Bijan, the next time I'll have to take Breece Hall. My thing about Bijan, the difference between Bijan and Breece Hall is Breece Hall doesn't have Tyler Algier there. Doesn't have 1,000-yard running back there. What if Bijan only gets 60% of the carries week 1? Would you be surprised? You're the projections guy. You'd be surprised after week 1 we're talking about Bijan only getting 60% of the carries week 1, which isn't terrible on a team that's going to run the ball a lot. But then you're talking about this number RB2 overall. That's a little bit scary.
60% of the carries? No, that's kind of what you'll see if you have a talented RB2. And by the way, it should be pointed out that Team Medlin was able to get Tyler Algier in round 12. So he pretty much gave him or herself the entire Atlanta backfield, which I like. Nice. Bijan is my RB2. I feel pretty comfortable with him over Breece Hall. I like Breece Hall too. I don't argue with anyone. If you want to take Breece Hall, get him. I don't think he's going to catch as many passes, so that's my only hesitation with Hall. And of course, Bijan Robinson does not have a major knee injury in his history. There's no, I guess he's not necessarily more likely to get hurt, but it's just something that I keep in mind. I like the receivers here, especially when you get to Christian Kirk, who I wrote in my preseason pro as my favorite sleeper to target. He took him a little ahead of IDP, but you took them about where I would. And Rashee Rice, that's looking like a really, really nice value now, because as more time goes on, he's less likely to be suspended in 2024. Mark Andrews is my tight end 3. You got him as tight end 6, so that's nice. You got Brooks Stairs, the top rookie running. You got a lot of upside in Chase Brown. Austin Eckler, I'm starting to come around on, but at this point in the draft, it's not. It's fairly late, so that's about where he should go. I mean, all in all, I really like this team too. I think the 3 teams here in the middle did a very outstanding job. And it's really interesting to see, Adam, the different builds. But as you can see, early on in the first 4 rounds, all of these teams simply took running backs and wide receivers, which is why I think they stand out more. Because, like I said, every time I happen to take an early tight end, I'm never happy with the build. And obviously, I'm always going to think that's too early for quarterback. So for me, for an old school guy like me, this is the kind of build that I see. And I'm like, okay, this is the kind of team that I like.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. All right, moving on to the exec pick 7, the pick I have tonight. Puka Nakua, Drake London, DJ Moore, Kelsey, Aaron Jones, Montgomery, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Love, Javonte Williams. So I love that Williams pick. I love a lot of these picks here. London and Moore. Don't think I would go Puka at 107. I can tell everyone tonight. I'm not going Puka Nakua at the 107 tonight. And so what do you think about this draft? What do you think about this team? Don't hate the build. Kelsey's your tight end 1. Can't hate that. But again, you can get Mark Andrews 2 rounds later as the tight end 6. So that's my only thing.
Yeah, Puka at wide receiver 5. It feels a little early, strangely, on first view at 7th overall, I'm like, it feels like maybe a spot or 2 early, but at wide receiver 5, even though that actually is right, you expect Bijan and or Brees Hall along with McCaffrey, obviously, in the first half dozen picks. So, I'm going to agree. It's a tad early. I think it's a tad early on Drake London too, just because we're all enamored with the potential upside on him, but yet we still have yet to see it. So I feel a little more comfortable with Drake London around, wide receiver 13 or 14, but again, nothing egregious. DJ Moore was good. Travis Kelce is, like I said, my tight end number 1. Round 4 is by no means, too early to take the number 1 tight end. Say it for the 3rd or 4th time in the show. I generally don't like my rosters when I do that, so it's not something that I ever consider. But tight end 1's available, and you didn't like the other options. Definitely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, I don't like getting excited about Aaron Jones. I mean, every year he comes through for us as a fantasy option, but every year, here he's going to turn 30 this year. So, some red flags there, but all in all, that's about the range. Both of these running backs here, it's about the range you see. And Jameson Williams at 45. I'm getting down there. I think you said Javonte Williams. It's actually Jameson Williams.
Oh, that's okay.
I loved him coming out of college. Obviously he's been, very disappointing so far, and I can get why we're getting excited about him. That feels a little early. This team, I think it's fine. There's nothing that stands out to me as egregious. I just don't like it as much as the previous 3 teams.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of like this team looks like it'll contend. It'll be right there to qualify for the playoffs, but I don't know how far we'd get.
Yep, for sure. And again, it's not a tournament, so you just got to kind of sneak in there and see if you can win some money. Who cares? Up next, Brees Hall, Saquon Barkley got the the super hyper fragile build here.
Mm-hmm.
Then Nico Collins, Josh Allen, Keenan Allen, Kincaid, Reed. There's Javonte Williams. I would have waited a little bit longer to take my RB3, knowing that I'm stacking up there 2 workhorses up top. Jacoby Myers, not a bad start. Need your receivers to stay healthy. You got to start 3. You only have 3 kind of up top here. But if you're going to start 2 running backs, it's hard to go early quarterback and early tight end, even if they are stacked. Thoughts real quick on that and this team, Jody?
Yeah, who cares? Another very good drafter, someone that I'm very familiar with that I know is a smart cookie when it comes to this. But yeah, it's a bit risky. You're starting 3 wide receivers, and by the time you're through 6 picks, you only have 2 on your roster. A little worrisome for me. I do like the Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid stack. That's got some potentially league winning upside. Nothing wrong with the early running backs, but like you said, it's a bit fragile. Keenan Allen is wide receiver 2. I don't like. We're hearing reports that he's put on some weight, and obviously a ton of target competition in Chicago would make me very nervous. And even Jaden Reed as a wide receiver 3. It's a little bit weaker to like to see. I do like the selection of Jacoby Myers. I think people are vastly overlooking him. Of course, the problem in Las Vegas is and remains quarterback, but Jacoby Myers was a top 30 wideout last year. I don't expect his touchdown numbers to carry over, but he's a pretty good bargain at wide receiver 46.
Yeah, I get that. Daily Double, Team 9, another big-time FFWC player over here. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. Garrett Wilson, one of my favorite receivers this year. Devontae Adams coming back around fine. Rashad White, Devonta Smith. Patrick Mahomes, Trey McBride, got that elite quarterback, got that elite tight end. McConkey, Brian Robinson, Roman Dunze at 47, and then went kind of crazy at running back. Benson, Wright, Roshan Johnson. So we'll see how this team works out, but I don't hate the build. I'm not a huge Rashad White guy this year, but to be able to get Mahomes and McBride, again, tight end and quarterback early is tough to overcome. But if a Dunze hits, if Benson or Wright hit, I think this team will be really good.
Daily Double, another legendary FFWC player, always in Discord. Apparently that's his job. Love your Daily Double. A couple things to stand out about his team. Love Devontae Smith. I have him ranked about 10 spots higher than that. I've got him somewhere between, I think, wide receiver 14 and 16 for me. To get him at wide receiver 25, that's a chef's kiss. Also, going down 4 rounds, Brian Robinson. That's another guy I have, I want to say 7 or 8 spots higher to get him at RB31. What you want from a Cliff Kingsbury team, you want the goal line back, and that's who Brian Robinson is. Very sneaky pick. I love that a lot. Roma Dunze, I'm starting to become more and more a fan of. And I mentioned earlier in the show, Jalen Wright is one of my must-have mid to late round running backs. He's looked tremendous so far this spring or this summer. And there's talks that Miami is going to be using all 3 backs, which makes me wary of the other 2, but it makes me really love him because you can get him so late. And he is like his speed is almost that of Devin Achane, but he's actually quite a bit bigger than both backs. So he is a potential candidate as a short yardage option.
Yep, for sure. I don't mean to fight through these teams, guys, but again, I've got this main event or this World Championship starting in 5 minutes. It's all right. I'm in the draft room, Scott. Fired up. I can do multiple things. That's my 9 millionth draft of the year, so I'm good. Moving on to the worst team I've ever seen, HMM. Holy cow, this team is freaking terrible. No, I'm just kidding. Start here. No one. Let me preface this by saying nobody knows anything about the upcoming season, about players. You don't know who's going to do what, who's going to get hurt, we just do our best at projecting this. I just want to see something that makes sense. If you want to start 4 running backs, a top quarterback and a top tight end, and then go 12 straight receivers or whatever this was, fine. At least I see there's a plan, right? Like, okay, I'm going to stock up on running back, get an elite quarterback and elite tight end, and then I'm just going to pray that I hit on 1 or 2 of these receivers. There's waivers, all that type of stuff. Fine. I see the plan. What I don't like is the detour for Nick Chubb. I mean, I know this team can afford for Nick Chubb to wait until, because you've got 4 running backs, but I still would have added another dart throw at a receiver there for sure.
He needed receiver bad.
I
like Pacheco in the second round. That's my looking at my preseason pro. That's my breakout pick for the year. Absolutely love him. Alvin Kamara too early. Zamir White egregiously too early. I don't want anything to do with Zamir White at RB14 range. Way too early. Risky quarterback with Richardson. I swing for the fences. I get it, but here you're taking a tight end before you're even taking your wide receiver 1, and now you have an injured DeAndre Hopkins as your wide receiver 1, and then again, like you just said, you're sneaking into a very risky running back there. To end on a high note, I do love Curtis Samuel.
I hate that, but hey,
I like Pacheco and Samuel.
I know. And listen, again, I agree with you on the Zamir White thing. I hate Zamir White, but again, we don't know what the players are going to do. We could project it. So I'm not going to bash specific players, and I don't hate it. I would have just, instead of Chubb, I would have taken like a Smith and Jigba, a Hopkins, Smith and Jigba, and then loaded up on all these receivers. But it's cool. It's fun to do. It's a starter league. I think it's a fun little build. All right. Team 11, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, Devin Achane goes criminally low at RB13. Malik Neighbors, 4th round. Love it. Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin. So I love the start. I love the players. Najee, Stroud, Freiermuth. What do you think, Jody?
I'll disagree with Achane. I think he drafted him right where he should have at RB13. Adam, I know you're a team Achane guy. I wrote him as my bust, not because I dislike him, but because I'm seeing him go like RB5 and RB6. This is a more sensible area for Devin Achane. So congratulations, bad news Bears, because most people are taking him, here in the second round. My Malik Neighbors, swing for the fences. Calvin Ridley, not a huge fan of, but that's about the right area. Terry McLaurin, I really love. I think that was a pretty good value pick there, and got a great quarterback and good tight end with Freiermuth. So I think this is a contender.
Yeah, RIP Vikings. This team also has Jordan Addison. I mean, all the injuries now. Jordan Addison cut it off the field today. Although I heard it won't be not as bad as maybe we thought. JJ McCarthy,
another good one for this team.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy out for the year. So the Vikings are in trouble over there. Last but not least, Lucky Mike. Maybe Lucky Mike strike. Maybe AJ Brown, Harrison, kind of a standard pick 12 there. Diggs and Cooper, fine. And then you load up on your running back Swift, Moss, Warren, Ferguson. Come back with Shakir, who I like, and Corum. What was he? He was not my breakout. He's my sleeper breakout, something like that. My stash and cash, something. I love Blake Corum as a straight up handcuff. Hold on to him. And most running backs miss games. So handcuff picks are great. Kyron Williams, though, I think will miss 5 to 6 or maybe more. Even if he misses 4, whatever, you can slide Blake Corum in there. But fine with the build. Wait on quarterback Goff and Trevor Lawrence. Like those 2 quarterbacks later on. What do you think, Jody?
I like 3 of the first 4 receivers. I don't like the wide receiver 22 area for Diggs. Felt like it was a little early. That said, if he happens to become Texans' number 1 receiver, that pick will hit nicely. Feels a little early for Zach Moss and DeAndre Swift at 20 and 21 respectively, but absolutely love Jaylen Warren at running back 28, 29. I have him as my RB 18, so that's one of the best running back picks I've seen on this board. Jake Ferguson, decent at tight end, and this guy waited until very late to get a couple of quarterbacks in Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence, which I kind of like. Both of them underrated choices to be quarterback 1s this year, and he was smart to go back to back here and take them. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I agree there. There's
wait on quarterback, you get a nice reward there.
Wait on quarterback, and that's how I feel too. Like it always feels good drafting the Hurts early or the whatever, but then it always like, man, I could look what I could have done. Goff and Lawrence, I know you're super high on.
Yeah, you should. Most skilled fantasy players should feel like there's at least 18 quarterbacks you should be able to win comfortably with this year.
Yep. And again, it's not a tournament. So tournaments is more like, okay, I need that quarterback that can smash for 35 points and win me all the money the last couple of weeks. This is not a tournament. You don't need to do that. You can get a little bit safer at the quarterback position. So I like the Goff and Lawrence move there, but no, I think it's really good. This was fun kind of breaking this down with you, Jody. Listen, why don't we stay on here? I'm up in 3 picks in the FFWC World Championship. Top 5 picks went CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase. Those are the first 5 picks. So I'm up in 2
you're going
picks.
Puka, right?
Well, I'm up on 2 picks, and we got Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson both still available. So I think
obviously you go Puka and you bypass running back.
Go Puka. There goes Bijan Robinson. I am on the clock, and I'm going to take. If you guys said, Adam, what's your dream scenario at 107? I would have said Breece Hall. And here I am taking Breece Hall at 107. I'm super excited to do that.
I take Hall over Puka. At that point, if that's who's the top receivers available. Is Amon-Ra St. Brown available?
Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson were the top guys there.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer for Breece Hall for me.
Yeah,
well.
Glenn wanted me to take Justin Jefferson. Not happening. But
today's news.
Yeah, not off today's news is for sure. So. Jody, hey, thanks so much for joining me. Maybe we'll get you on again next week. Maybe talk some more. Maybe we'll talk running back, receiver, whatever, man. Listen, we got the big drafts coming up. I'm so freaking excited to go to Vegas. It's in 3 weeks. Opening days in 3 weeks. Go ahead, Jody.
I'm getting in some circuit drafts here myself pretty soon here.
That's right. You'll be doing the online circles. I've been done a ton of those already, and I'll be in Vegas for the Thursday night party, the Friday night party, drafting. Trying to get a Sunday party going. That'll be fun. But I'm talking to Ian and Scott about that.
And again, after 4 straight days of debauchery in Canton, Ohio, you're an animal.
That's right. Absolute debauchery. So, but Jody, thanks for joining me tonight. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Thanks for putting your tight end 2 in there. And Scott will let you know who won. And we'll see you all next week. Good luck, everybody.